Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today, this is the fourth dinner I'm making from the venison neck roast. So this is part of my How to Make the Most of Leftovers series. And today it's going to be soup. So what I have is the neck bone with a little bit of meat still on it, and I've cooked this for a full day to make a good broth. It cooked down quite a bit, so I already had to add a bunch of water to it. And now I'm cutting up, I want to hurry up and get to these potatoes. Cutting up some potatoes from my garden and throwing those in there. Now I have the dehydrated potatoes, but because I got a lot of potatoes out of our garden this year, I am still working through. I still have a bunch. I still have a bag and a half, a grocery bag and a half of potatoes to work through. And so I really need to do this and focus on using those up first and not my not all the dehydrated potatoes. Though I still will be trying the dehydrated potatoes from time to time, like I did in the pot pie recipe I did in the last video using the venison. Anyway, so I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about this as I'm cutting. I'll be using some green beans from my garden. This is from 2 years ago, and some zucchini from my garden from this year that I froze. So what I have going on here is a combination of not only just being able to use up your leftovers, specifically leftover meat in this case, but also how to use things from your food storage like I'm doing here. So homegrown potatoes that I had stored away, some zucchini and green beans that I had chopped up and froze, and I find these actually, surprisingly enough, yes, they will get watery when you freeze them, but they turn out better than I would have expected for being cut up. And then various herbs and spices that I either grew or purchased, and vegetables as well, as from freeze-dried to dehydrated. So let's get started on adding these things. Alright, so what I'm gonna do with this zucchini is I'm gonna go ahead and strain off, well, you know what, I'm not gonna strain off the liquid because this soup could use a little more liquid in it anyway. So I'm just gonna dump it all in there like that. And then my green beans from, I think these are 2015, pretty sure. No, maybe these are 2016, whatever, it doesn't matter. Green beans I had in the freezer. I think I did finally use up the ones from 2015, not too long ago. Okay, and let's just kind of, I want to get those potatoes pushed down in there so they don't oxidize. And I'm just keeping that neck bone in there since there's still some meat on there, and hopefully we can work some of that off. So that's it for my garden vegetables that I did not dehydrate. Now on to my own dehydrated vegetables, which is, not that, my mixed greens blend, nope, my mixed greens blend, which is right here. And you can find a video on what's in this year's blend right up here, and it's everything from grape leaves to dandelion leaves and a whole bunch of stuff in between. So take a look at that so that you'll know it's just one way that we can keep getting those good garden greens all year round. We eat salads a lot, so we get in the summertime when all this stuff is growing fresh, the kale and the grape leaves and so on. Things like dandelion leaves can be kind of bitter, and you might not want to eat those fresh. We do still add them to our salads, but I keep it to the minimal. Or stinging nettle is something you're not going to want to eat fresh because it's going to burn. So if I'm not cooking with it directly, I'm definitely freezing it up so I can get all the wonderful benefits of that in my meals throughout the year. So there's that, and then that's all for my vegetables that I've dehydrated. I didn't dehydrate any other vegetables but the greens, and oh, and some tomatoes. I forgot about tomatoes. I'll add those in too. Okay, and I did put some of these in the pot pie that I made as well, but they're also good in the soup. I love throwing the dehydrated tomatoes into all kinds of stuff, and these ones were also from my garden, did pretty well with those Amish paste tomatoes this year. Okay, so that's it for my own garden-grown vegetables. Now to my garden-grown herbs. I'm going to add some parsley. I use about, roughly anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon of any of these herbs. So what you're looking at right now there was a tablespoon. My own sage. A lot of sage. And this might make you think of a song, but the rosemary was not from my garden, so I can't use that yet. the time was, and I'm almost out, so I'm just going to use a little bit. I'm waiting for the Frontier Star West brand I ordered to come in any day. The lavender leaves are nothing like the flower when it comes to eating them and the smell of them. They're very different. They have their own taste. They're not perfumey at all like the flower would be. Now me, I wouldn't want to cook a meal using lavender flowers, but I will use lavender leaves in quite a bit of things. So that's it for my own homegrown things. So now for the rosemary, to finish out the song, you guys all know I'm talking about. And this I did get from Amazon. Again, my two favorite brands I tend to order the most when it comes to herbs. Of the herbs that I'm either not growing enough of or can't grow or haven't tried growing yet are Star West and Frontier, and they're organic. All their organic stuff. So I've always been very happy with them. So this is the Mother Earth Products sliced garlic. I will link to all this stuff below, even the stuff that I already grow in the brands that I trust. So if you're not already growing them or don't already have them on hand, I'll link to those so you can know where to find them. Mother Earth Products onion. Again, we went through our garden grown onion pretty dang fast. I need to make room this next year to grow a lot more. These, I believe, are the Honeyville carrots, but I'm liking the Mother Earth Products carrots better. But I already have these open, so I want to get these used up. Some red pepper flakes. I'm definitely going to have to add some more water to this after I get all this in here. And then I like to double up on the garlic, because I think the granulated garlic permeates through the soup or the whatever meals I'm using it in better. And then I like the slices because then you get those pieces of garlic as well. And then some salt, and I'll put in about a little better than a teaspoon. I think a tablespoon might be a little too much. Okay, now for some more Mother Earth ones, the ones I got in the Mylar bag. I'm really happy with these, ordering them right from the company like that. And again, they're a better price. One thing I've been kind of excited to try was the dehydrated sweet potatoes. Even though I've got the homegrown potatoes in there, I'm going to throw some sweet potatoes. I did try to grow sweet potatoes this year and did terribly. The biggest one I got was that big and that wide, and then I got a few more that were half that size. But I might try again this next year, because I don't know. I can't see this as being a really great sweet potato growing area. However, we did have a really weird spring last year where a lot of things were slow in growing. Even zucchini, which grows really well here, I didn't get as much as I would have expected out of all the plants that I had, because they were very stunted by our strange spring. Okay, and then here is some celery. And I have grown celery somewhat successfully, but not really. Not enough. So it's nice to have some dehydrated celery to use. And I would say on these, remember these are either freeze-dried or dehydrated. You're only going to want to use just a small amount, because they're going to end up a lot bigger. Now the last thing I'm going to toss in here are some dehydrated red bell peppers. Now one thing I do know about the Mother Earth products is their stuff is, none of it is GMO, though none of it necessarily says organic. So I'm kind of taking a chance with the bell peppers, because they're something I don't usually trust unless I can get it organic, because they're one of the things that tend to be high in pesticides. However, sometimes we just got to do some things and just, you know, as long as we're doing the best we can. I really miss having bell peppers, because we can't find them organic here, and they don't grow for us here. They don't grow, even in the greenhouse. Okay, what I'm going to do is, that's pretty thick like that, and it hasn't even cooked yet. So I'm going to add a little bit more water, get a little more rainwater in there, filtered rainwater. You hear me talk about that quite a bit too. Okay, so again, I'm just going to just let those bones just keep cooking in there. And I'll just put this on the wood stove back on the trivet, and I'm not going to take it in there and show you that this time. You can, I show that in quite a few videos. So my last video, I believe it was, or the video when I was actually cooking this roast, you can find that right up here. So, and I kind of explain my little layout there on my wood stove. And so I'm just going to let this cook for a few hours until we're ready to eat it. I can always lift it up on a higher trivet if it's done and we're not ready to eat it. So I love doing things this way because I can just put it on there and forget about it, and it's very cool. So if you're going to do this on your stove top, I'd say just turn it on low to medium and just let it cook for an hour or so, and it should be good with all your vegetables. Just check with like if you're using fresh potatoes or anything like that, just make sure they're done all the way through. So super, super easy way to use up that last little bit of meat on the bone, whether it be chicken or roast like this. I do have a video out from last year doing this same thing with leftover chicken broth after I used all the chicken up and doing various things from chicken and biscuit pot pie, and I can't remember what all. I got a bunch of them. I'll try to make sure they get in this playlist with the making the most of leftovers. Then I made the soup out of the broth, and using a very, very similar method. And if you want to see that, you can find that right up here. So I'm going to go put this on the stove, and most likely what I'll do, since this is early in the day and I don't like doing videos in the evening, is I will just take a picture of the soup when it's all done, and I'll post it at the end of this video so you can see how it turned out. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new, and that you learned to make the most out of your food storage and your leftovers. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.